Hi, welcome back. Finally time to get these engines fitted. Sun's out today, which is a vast improvement on what we had yesterday. Got them all loaded up and they're just getting ready to go now. I'm going to head off down to the yard. We've got a crane scheduled for about 3 hours time. So that's it, all loaded up and strapped down. So get going and hopefully they'll be alright all the way down there. That's all the engine beds ready to go, just waiting on the crane now. A little bit more fireproofing to do afterwards. I have to close the side panels here and stuff, but I need access for fitting the engines. So that's it, both installed, both sat on the mounts quite nicely. Sorry, it's very windy here. Yeah, pretty much went straight in. Alignment to do, not too bad. Turbo is very close to the deck on that one. Right, howling windy outside again today, but not so bad in the engine compartments once the rain keeps down. Been messing with the alignment. This engine lined up really easy. Very little adjustment, just raised the front of the engine a little bit. Only got 2 bolts in at the moment, but it's all lined up and tightened down. Now the other one, that took a fair bit of effort. It probably took an hour and a half or 2 hours of raising the front up and back down and etc. and trying to move it sideways. Need to drill one hole in one of the mounts just to get it to sit in nice, and I needed to move it sideways one way more than the mount would allow, so I just need to re-drill that. But other than that, pretty happy with that now. It's a bit of a dose, sorting out alignment, so happy to have it done and bolted in solidly. Connected up a few other little bits and pieces as well, but nothing much yet. And I must say, if you ever have to do alignment, it's worth painting the bilge first. Degreased, power washed this a lot, actually ended up spraying the whole bilge just because it was quicker and easier, but so much rolling around under engines and around engines, etc. It was really nice to have a clean place to work. So there we have it, it's just running. Need to set up these rev counters still, but idling there, 40 psi. Something going on with the sender on this gauge. It was right a second ago. Need to bring up the tick over on this engine slightly. Seems to be sitting around 600. Gauge has just gone back right now. Have to figure out what's going on with that. 27.3 volts. Just switch them off and restart them. Startup's instant on them. I just added these today before launching, just some radiator bleeds. So I've them open there at the moment just to see if any, if there is any build-up of air or pressure in there. Just let it get out sooner. Just while we're running them in anyway, I'll keep those open. Same on that one with a slightly different setup. I'd have to put a cap on that before going anywhere in case it flipped over. It would empty all the water out. Right, so because these engines are 24 volt and I wanted to keep a 12 volt house system, I've gone with these DC-DC converters, 2412. So yeah, protects the starter bank from the house bank. Kept the banks on each engine separate, so this engine has one of these, two 24 or 24 volt bank and a 12 volt bank, and then the opposite engine has a completely separate 24 and 12 volt bank. This one being the main house bank and the other one being a bank for the capstan that can be used as a reserve. Say if you were just running on one engine or something, that you'd still have charge to power the wheelhouse. They're only 30 amps, about €300 a piece, but if you need 60 amps then you can add another one, and you can go like that. But I actually have 60 amps between the two engines, so I don't know if the wheelhouse will ever drain 60 amps. We'll see. So, first time out on the river with it. Yeah, this is just the bit where you're shitting a brick, waiting for something to go wrong. Just poodling along really. Can't figure out how to set up the gauges right, the rev counters, but temperature and oil pressure are all good, so just keeping an eye on everything. Just bringing it onto a little bit of boost, just to smoothen it out and see what it's like. Everything else seems alright. That temperature gauge is after pegging again. There's something wrong on top of the sender, so I'm gonna get on the straight up here now and stick it on auto helm and go and sort it. So just checked it there with the little digital rev counter on the engines, see what it's doing, and we're at 1340 RPM and it's just coming on boost. That one's a bit closer to 1400. So about 1350 we start having boost. Gauge came back down again. What's going on with it? It's just starting to burn all the old oil and stuff off the turbos now. It's starting to warm up a bit. Right, so I'm just picked up my mooring, or am mooring, that I have down in this harbour after coming down the river. So I've done about an hour run down the river. everything's good so far. Oil pressure's good, temperature's good. Problem I'm having is I have a lot of shaft vibration on this engine. I always did with the old engine. When I switched the engines, the gearbox is now on the opposite side to where they used to be, so and the props have been off and balanced, so I must have a problem with the shaft on this side, or it's a bit of I can mess with alignment, but there must be a problem with that shaft because that engine just shakes. But at the moment it's shaking too badly really to run it at any good decent RPMs. I don't want to do damage, so I'm just gonna take it easy and take a nice slow spin home. That one's running absolutely perfectly smooth. I ran them up to 1850s, the hardest I pushed them there, and I was doing 11.5 knots against the tide in the river, and she's planing at that, so that's pretty good. Yeah, that's about, I think she's just nearly at 5 psi of boost running at 1850. So I'm just going to shut the covers now, and I have about going slow, it'll probably take me 2.5 hours to get round, so we'll take them to sea and see how they get on. Okay, so we're getting close to home. Got a little over 3 hours on them now, so I'm going to open her up a little bit and just get her up to about 1850 again. Nicely at that, 13.2, I think that's better than she would have done really before. One way to dampen that vibration anyway, but it seems quite happy. I look at the engine there, and it does sit a bit smoother when it's actually working like that, so I'm gonna run her the rest of the way home like that now. Must be around 1900 RPM. Which is good, she'll move nicely at 2000 then. I just checked it there with the other little rev counter thing, and yeah, that's 2000 RPM on the port engine, so the other one should be about the same. So yeah, 13 knots against the wind and tide. It's only about 10 knots of a breeze, but the tide is running out as well, so yeah, pretty happy. Just sitting nicely around 82 degrees. And with 60 psi and a little over, that one's really a bit over 60. Found the edge of the fog at last. Yep, it's went absolutely fine there, coming in at about 2,000 revs. 13 and a half knots. Beautiful day. Fog rolling in there, bit of a little easterly breeze outside, but nothing really. Oh well, job done. I'm happy with that. So just sort out that drive shaft and all should be well.